Hey guys, Celtican. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't yet, please do that down below. Today I have titled my video, How to Be Happy. Let me tell you how I came up with this. January 23rd, 2021, I thought that I was never going to be happy again. There's no possible way I can ever be happy again. If you've watched my other videos, then you know my son, Crucian, went to heaven on January 23rd of 2021. On that day, when I lost him, when he was no longer physically with me that I could hold him, I felt like my life was done. I did not even know how I was going to go on living. He was in God's arms, so he was good. But I was just so devastated and depressed. You know, I was losing all my hair and bones were hurting, my joints, everything. I couldn't even walk because my knees hurt so bad. I couldn't function. I could not see, I could not even see in front of me. I had just gone through this horrible, hard thing like we all have. We have all gone through hard things. And I'm not saying that my thing is harder than someone else's thing, because we have all been through hard things. I just barely would get myself out of bed. And once I was out of bed and after I was showered, I didn't know what to do. I felt so helpless. I felt I couldn't be happy. Like if someone did something funny and I wanted to laugh, it's like, oh my gosh, wait, I can't laugh. Like, what about Crucian? You know, my son, but I'm so sad that he's gone. Like, how am I going to do that? Like, that doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right to be laughing and my son is not with me. I had a life coach who actually taught me this, and now we call it living in the and, A-N-D, and. And what that means is we can be sad that we don't have Crucian here with us anymore. And at the same time, we can experience joy. It's okay. We can be sad and we can have joy at the same time. And for the rest of our lives, that's probably just right where we're going to be. We're going to be right there living in the and. We're never going to not be sad. We don't have him, we're sad. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to be happy and we're not going to have joy. We're going to have joy. We made that decision. We said, okay, we can be sad, but we can have joy, and we're just going to live. It's just it's almost like a balancing act. And if you have ever lost a child, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. We all go through hard times. What I want to do today is to tell you what has worked for me to help me become a happy person again after something devastating happens. I learned this. It took me like the first year of my son being gone. I learned this very quickly throughout that year, is to have gratitude. And what I mean by that is think of all the things you're grateful for. What I started doing is every morning when I would wake up, I would think, what am I so grateful for? I would thank God for those things, whatever it was that morning. Some days it's the same thing. And it might be the same thing for weeks at a time, but then something new will pop up and then I thank God for that. And that, you know, one of the things that I was so thankful for was not only that I, at that time after I lost my son, that I had these 3 living children who were amazing. They're amazing. And first of all, would thank God that I had these other 3 children. Because what if I lost my first child and I had no other kids? I would feel even more devastated, like, oh, I don't even have any other kids. I can't, you know, we were always hugging each other. The kids slept in my bed for 3 or 4 months after Crucian passed. They slept right next to me. and I wanted them there. They did not want to leave me. They didn't even want to leave to go to soccer practice. They were afraid to be away. And I didn't want them leaving to go to soccer practice. So I just remember thanking God that I have these other children who I don't have my baby to hold, but I have these other children. Then the second thing, this probably does sound weird to people who have never been through something like this. My youngest son, Crucian was my youngest. He went to heaven. But my second to youngest son, Venture, Crucian looked just like Venture. And we all said that. The kids and I, myself, and Aspen and Coburn, my two oldest kids, we would just want to cuddle Venture all the time because we felt like it was almost like cuddling Crucian because they looked so much alike. And we would just tell Venture, like, okay, just sit there. Let us just look at you. You look like what Crucian looked like. And then he'd just sit there and he would look at us and we'd look at him and we'd think about Crucian. And I would be so thankful. I remember thanking God that I had Venture. It's almost like there was something left behind to remind us of Crucian. It was Venture because they looked identical and their baby pictures looked identical. And that was so comforting to us at that time. So you're just going to think, what am I grateful for? Every day that you wake up, just think, what am I grateful for? Just make a list and thank God for that. Okay? Because I'm telling you, if you do this for long enough, all of a sudden you start really appreciating the things that you have that you're grateful for. You start becoming very appreciative and it helps you to be happy. Number 2, for me, and this might not be for everyone, but for me is I got to have my fitness and my food on track. Okay? The more you stay on it, the better you're going to feel. Your body's going to feel good. And that in turn is going to put you in good moods. You're going to be happy. Some people go crazy. I'm working out 0 days a week and now I'm going to work out 7 days a week. I'm just going to go hardcore and do it. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I mean is if you can commit to 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 times a week of working out, going on a walk around the block, or just going out to your garage gym, or going out to your family room and just going through a few exercises, whatever it is. I don't care if it's 5 minutes a day or if it's an hour a day. It doesn't matter. Whatever you can commit to, if you can be consistent doing that, that is going to make a huge difference. You are going to be so much happier. Food. Let me tell you something. For years, I was into bodybuilding and I competed for 10 years. Contest dieting, all this, it's like I felt deprived. I could only eat certain things and then I'd have to go through this strict, crazy thing the last week, right before a show. I would feel deprived and I would feel like I really want that food, but I can't have it. I'm so deprived. So then after the shows, I would just go crazy and eat. So food was always hard for me because I wanted stuff, but then I felt deprived. And after I struggled with that for years after bodybuilding, after I was all done competing, it was such a struggle. It was such a mental game for me. What I have come to the conclusion of with food is this. There are certain foods that are not good for us. Instead of thinking, I can't have that, but I want it. Instead of thinking like that, we need to be thinking, I don't want that food in my body because it's poison. I don't want these certain foods because it's going to increase inflammation. It's going to make my knees hurt and I'm not going to be able to run with my daughter. Or I don't want that food because it's got all these chemicals in it and it messes with my brain. And then when I try to work, oh my gosh, I can't even think straight. That's the way we need to be thinking. We need to be thinking, I am so blessed because I have this other food option. I don't have to put that poison in my body. I have this other wonderful, healthy thing from God's earth that was grown in the ground that I can nourish my body with. That's the way we need to be thinking. And I'm telling you, once you start thinking that way, don't tell yourself, I can't have. You tell yourself, I don't want. Okay, there's a big difference. When you tell yourself, I don't want, all of a sudden, it's like you feel better about what you're eating. And your mind will believe anything you tell it. I learned that from an early age, okay? Your mind will believe you no matter what you say because your mind is always listening. Whatever you tell it, it's going to believe you. Please, if you can be consistent, even if you have to start with just once a week, but you always do that one time a week. If you can increase, then you increase a little, but you set yourself up for success because that way you did your once a week and that week you were able to do a little bit more. Don't you feel happier knowing I was supposed to do one time a week, but I actually got 3 workouts in this week? I mean, I was supposed to do one time this week, 1 workout, but I did 3. Doesn't that sound better than I was supposed to do 4, but I only got 3 in? Right? So we want to set ourselves up for success. And that is going to make you happier. I have found that with myself. You just have to ease into things and be consistent with this little bit. And then as you get better and better and you have time for more and more, like you do that little bit, but then you do a little bit more and then a little bit more. And then you're happy, like you're setting yourself up for success. You're happy in your food. You get to eat good foods. And you don't have to put that poison in your body. We don't want that. My third thing, my final thing, realizing what might be detrimental. Things that could be detrimental to your happiness. This is something that I did when I had a life coach, when I lost my baby. We had to keep track of every 15 minutes throughout the day, okay? And it was actually this really amazing exercise. So you might start at like 9 o'clock in the morning. Like, okay, tell me how you're feeling. Okay, like a 1 to 10, your joy level. Like 1, oh my gosh, I have no joy. I feel depressed. 10, oh, I feel so joyful and wonderful. If you wanted to, next to it, you could write, well, why do you think you feel that way? So my day may have gone like 9 o'clock, I'm just a 5. I'm just kind of like, whatever. And then at 9:15, I get a call from the insurance, all this money that I have to pay for Crucian when he was in the NICU. At that time, when I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I owe all this money and like I don't even have my baby anymore. And it was depressing to me. So that may have been a 1. And then I wrote why. Got a phone call from the insurance. 15 minutes later, 9:30, I'm going to Cobran's soccer game. And oh my gosh, he just scored like 3 goals. Now my joy is like a 10. Like, oh, I'm so happy. When you start doing little things like that and you write down, how do you feel? Why do you feel that way? You start putting things together. What just happened that made me feel bad? For me, it was the insurance people. Now I can prepare myself. The next call that I get from the insurance people, I'm not going to let that affect me. I'm not going to let that take my joy down. I am going to stay up here in my joy level. I'm not going to let that person pull me down. That can be anything in your day. Oh, and it makes you feel bad and it takes your joy. Then you realize, I don't want to let that take my joy. I might have to talk to that person, but I'm not going to let them take my joy. Well, I so-and-so came over and we had coffee and we talked about blah, 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 something, and that made me feel bad. And you might start seeing patterns with different people. And what happened with me is I would see there were different people that would affect me. I called it protecting my peace. Yeah, I can't meet up with you for coffee, or I can't go have lunch with you, because what I notice is there's certain people that would take me right out of my joy. And I needed a boundary. I needed to put boundaries up. Some people might say you're mean, but I call it having a boundary and protecting my peace. If it was something like that, that just made me feel awful, then I realize, okay, every time I talk to that person, they say these certain things. I can either tell that person, hey, you can't say that because that's not right, you know. But if they don't listen, or you just feel like so run down, you can't even talk to them, you have to protect your peace, okay? And so what I did is I'm sorry, I can't deal with you right now. I can't have phone calls with you. I can't be around you because every time I'm around you, you hurt my feelings, like about my son. And I can't take it because you pull me out of my joy, and it's like I'm having to start all over again. So you have to protect your peace, okay? And you're going to be a lot happier. You just have to have those boundaries. And there's a great book actually called Boundaries, and I'll put it in the description here. It's such a good book. I'm on my second time reading it right now, but it's such a good book. Like, I think every person should read that book. Those are my 3 things. For me, what have worked to increase my happiness, help me to be happy, especially after having gone through something hard, you know, because we all go through hard things, and we all need a little reminder how to be happy again, or what can we do to stay up here with our joy, not down here. We want our joy up here.